In this session, let's talk about risk optimization. So the risk optimization or a risk management, what is the objective of this? But before we talk about that, a risk is something which we don't want it to happen, or what could go wrong is a risk. So risk management is, or let me say this way, risk management is uh, not eliminate all the risks. That is not the point of risk management. Risk management is properly identifying the risk and then evaluating the risk and analyzing it and mitigating the risks and managing the risks and monitoring them and then communicating them. So risk management objective is to identify, manage, and monitor and communicate them properly so that we can avoid potential damages or disruptions to the anticipated actions or the initiatives or projects or progress or growth of the company or sort of sustainment of the company. So that's what the risk management. But one point here is risk management is not to eliminate all the risks. Sometimes you have to take some risks to get the value out of it. Like we go out and drive, yes, there is a risk of getting into an accident, but we accept the risk and we drive. Of course, we need to be careful. Um, so right now, what we are doing here is we will start with exploring more generalized risk management aspect for an enterprise level first, and then we will talk about IT specific risk management. In companies, risk management is a very critical function because if risk management helps them to gain the confidence in actions what they are doing. So what you're seeing is a kind of a generalized activity of risk management that you want to identify and mitigate and manage and communicate. So, but we're going to get more details into this risk management. So first thing is we need to understand the risk hierarchy. So let's, as we said it, we thought we want to talk about from enterprise level. So enterprise risk has, there are multiple type of risks in from enterprise aspect. One is strategic risk. Strategic risk is the planning what to do for tomorrow. So there can be something happen which kind of limits our ability to plan for tomorrow, or our plan might get disrupted for the risks also with the risk what might happen. So those are all strategic risks, and there can be environmental risks or market risk. Let's say a competitor is also coming up with the same product, or the industry changed because of some regulations, or maybe the new technology came and disrupted this industry. So there is a market risk there. And credit risk, something happened either internally or externally which damaged the reputation of the company, or the revenues gone down, and then company's credit rating might get impacted, and in turn the ability to take loans gets impacted with this credit risk. Operational risk, like we have to have proper supply chain. Let's say there is a plant shutdown happened because there is an accident, or you are not getting the required raw materials to fulfill the customer. So these are all the operational risks what might happen. And compliance risk is another big thing. Um, Anything might cause that we are not following certain regulatory requirements, and that can cause the damage for the reputation or fines from the government or regulators. So these can be a risk from enterprise level. And let's also understand different ways. There are risk levels here. Um, so from the top down, there is strategical level risks here. These are decisions to realize the vision and mission. We just spoke about strategic risk, and that can fall. This is strategic level risks. And there are tactical level risks are the decisions or the actions to transform the strategies into initiatives. Generally, programs are nothing but a bunch of projects combined together called programs. So this is a tactical level risks. And then the third or bottom level are there are project level risks because programs are made up of projects and projects which are meant to implement these actions to get a desired outcome, and the projects may fail because of something. So there are risks at project level. And we already spoke about operational level risks. So I'm hoping these two slides of looking at enterprise risk level and then this risk levels here gives you that the type of risks possible in a company. You might have heard about GRC. It stands for governance, risks, and compliance. Sometimes all these are part of governance. That is why we are looking at risk management. So compliance is nothing but a rules or expectations by legal or regulatory bodies. Um, for example, GDPR, it's a general data protection regulations for European companies primarily that they expect companies to manage certain kind of data practices. If not, they get fined up to X percentage of their revenue, 5% of revenue or 10% of revenue. And you might have heard about Sarbanes-Oxley Act too, which is how a companies report their income and expenses. And there are HIPAA compliance like Health Information Portability and Accountability Act. And especially if it is a finance company, it deals with credit card, then there is a PCI DSS compliance. So these are all some of the compliance bodies which, depending on where the company is operating, needs to be taken care of properly. So we looked at the possible type of risks. We also looked at the requirements may be imposed by this compliance, and risk management is making sure that what could go wrong and managing them. And let's look at how this risk management helps. If there is a proper risk management, it allows to experiment to learn. So you know what can go wrong, but you can plan to do an experiment and learn before you invest a big money on a certain kind of a project or a product. And it allows to keep things in control, knowing that what could go wrong and having a plan to react to in a certain way if something happens. It allows you to have a control mechanism. It helps in decision making. So when you know what risks are there, you can make appropriate decision based on the risk appetite or risk tolerance. It helps to avoid surprises and dangers. By taking a step back and looking at these risks, you may avoid surprises and dangers, and allows to realize the opportunities. Sometimes when you look at the risks, maybe it's worth to take the risk because there is a bigger benefit out of it. So you may take at that opportunity and you may get a bigger gain. That's what happens in organizations. Let's say a company wants to grow and they may purchase, acquire another company. Yes, there is a risk of synergy, risk of integration, risk of employees' culture, but there may be a bigger benefit because there can be potential value by acquiring this other company. So companies will take the risk by calculative approach of how it can benefit versus the risks here. And risk management addresses the uncertainty, especially if we don't know what's going to happen. By at least having this risk management practice in place, you will gain a little more comfort on the uncertainty. And it can be tailored based on changing the risk appetite. Companies today might be saying that we don't want to take a risk, so and so, but tomorrow, depending on the market conditions, they may change the risk appetite and say, okay, we want to take this risk, let's invest money in so and so. And finally, it can create a transparent and inclusive culture by sharing the risks, what might be there, what might happen by a decision or action. It can help people to be feel more inclusive, and then it can help them to be more collaborative on how to avoid the risk or manage the risk as well. So we spoke about all these benefits of managing the risk. Then there are a lot of proven frameworks for this risk management. For example, there are ISO standards, NIST frameworks, and ISACA also has framework. You don't have to know about all these risks frameworks, but my intention of showing this is um, for certain kind of a compliance requirement. Sometimes the companies will say, hey, we follow ISO 2000, 20000 framework for our risk management. And that gives confidence to customers, maybe, confidence to the vendors. So there are a lot of risk management frameworks for enterprises to follow. So to continue on the enterprise level, how does an enterprise um, have defense mechanisms for the risk management? So there can be part of IT. It's just IT has better governance, IT controls. Yes, IT risk management may not control everything for an organization, but it controls at least the IT aspect of the risk. Or there may be an enterprise risk management, ERM teams, enterprise risk management teams. The whole purpose is to look at managing these risks and maintaining these risks and reacting or acting based on the projected risk probabilities. And finally, one other defense mechanism is they have this internal auditing team. This auditing team doesn't execute or manage. Their job is to observe and check and maintain the logs and see how things are happening and identify if there are proper controls are there. If not, then make them visible to the executives so they can initiate appropriate actions. So that's internal auditing. Yes, there can be external auditing also, but at least you see there are possible defense mechanisms. So let me stop here saying that what we have seen so far is a generalized aspect view of risk management for an enterprise level here. Next, we will see IT specific risk management.